everybody. I debated telling this story just because it's so awful for me as a mom. But I thought about it and I was like, no, I need to tell the story to maybe prevent it from or helping out in figuring out situations for other moms and people taking care of kids, and especially babies that can't communicate yet. It's two stories that I have, one that kind of correlates with it. And I'll tell the first one that's not my story, but it kind of relates to the story that I have that we went through the other day. My friend's kid was fussy all day and she couldn't figure out what was going on with him. He was just acting weird and she just couldn't figure it out, and she's like, I don't know what's going on with him. At the end of the day, she's sitting with him on her lap and they're watching a movie, and she looks down at his feet and sees that there's a hair wrapped around his toe real tight and cutting off his circulation. So she hurries up and gets it off, and it actually was so tight that it had cut him, and turns out that's the reason why this poor kid was upset all day. And thank God that she was sitting there with him and just sitting still long enough to notice something like that. There's always a reason why your kid is upset, and when they're babies they can't communicate that to you. So a lot of times you're like, what's going on? Why is my kid so fussy? They must be sick. And so you just kind of like, oh, they're sick. I don't know what's going on. So my story, which yeah, it's really sad. I cried. Yeah, but Jacob's okay now. Yeah, we're gonna tell a story, okay? So this is my there's always a reason story. And Saturday night we got back from hanging out with friends for Halloween, and Jacob, when I got home, actually while we were out too, like, he was a little fussy. He didn't want to be put down. Yeah, and then we came home, I gave him a bottle, and he was kind of just like restless, and so then I changed his diaper and he had a rash. So I was like, oh, that must be why he's so upset. And it was really interesting that he had a rash, because he didn't have a rash that day and he doesn't get rashes. I not to sound like funny about it, but I'm very on top of him, and he gets changed. His diaper gets changed right away when he has a poopy diaper. We use Honest products, and he's only had one rash, and that was when he was around 2 months old, and it was very little, and he got rid of it right away. So I changed him, and he had a huge rash out of nowhere. Like, out of nowhere he had a rash, and so I was like, oh, that must be why he's so upset. I put Desitin on it, and he still was acting like fussy, and I couldn't figure out why. And I was like, well, maybe he's just tired. So I put him down, and he fell asleep. But then he woke up around midnight, and he just woke up crying. And I watched him on the monitor for a little bit, and I could tell that he was really tired. But he was like, like, just couldn't get comfortable, and I couldn't figure it out. So I went in there. What? You telling the story too? Yeah. So I went in there, I changed his diaper again, retreated his rash. I figured that was what it was, and it was really bad rash. And so I actually ended up giving him some Tylenol, and I put him down again, and he fell asleep because he was tired. But again, probably an hour later, maybe not even then, he woke up again. And I was like, what's going on? Because he usually sleeps 12 hours. So I went in there again, and I was like, what's going on with him? And I made him a bottle. He didn't want it. When I held him, he was like just uncomfortable, and I could tell that something was wrong. So I really figured it was the rash. So Kurt was up with me. We're trying to figure it out. Jacob kept kind of falling asleep because he was exhausted, and every time he fell asleep, I put him in the crib. He probably lasted an hour, and then he'd be up again. So it was a really rough night. And again, I just thought it was the rash. Kurt and I were exhausted in the morning. Again, we're treating the rash and it's just not healing. So every time, like, I really thought that it was the rash. So the rash was really bad, and the worst rash I've ever seen. And we couldn't figure out like why it was so bad. Then Kurt had Jacob on the changing table, and he's like, I'm just gonna leave him here. He had cleaned up the rash, and he's like, just gonna lay him there and stay with him for a while and just let him air out. We were talking about letting Jacob walk around naked, but Kurt was like, I'll just sit here with him. And so Kurt's like talking to him and just like hanging out with him while Jacob's on the changing table with no pants on. And so they're in there for a while, and then and I'm making breakfast, and then I hear Kurt yell, Hannah, quick, come here. So I leave breakfast and I run in there, and he's like, look at this. He's like, go get some tweezers. So I run into the bathroom and I get some tweezers, and I run back, and Jacob has this very deep roll in his ankle, and I'll actually show it to you because it's a deep roll. Okay. It's this one right here on this side. Yeah. As he was laying there, just kind of saw what he thought was a speck of dirt. So he got a white beat and went to go just clean out the roll. And if you've ever had a baby with rolls before, you know that you do have to clean out those rolls. So Kurt went to just swipe at it, and when he swiped at it, Jacob cried, and Kurt noticed that it didn't move. And then he looked at it and realized that it was a splinter in his rolls. So I got the tweezers and I went to pull it out. Let me tell you, I took a picture of it, which I'll put in the video. This thing was long. And we think that it was one of Ronan's whisker hairs. So it wasn't even something super pokey. It just, Jacob's rolls and his baby's soft skin, it went right in. And I pulled, it looked like a speck of dirt. So that's how far it was in. Let me tell you, that thing was this big all the way into his skin. When I pulled it out, Kurt and I just went, oh. Whoa, what the heck? And I still am like freaked out about it, that this thing was in Jacob for that long, and that's why he was so upset. Duh, like, of course he was upset. Of course he was waking up during the night. Every time he turned, that thing probably hurt him. And Kurt and I both think that God gave Jacob this horrible rash, and it had to be this bad for Kurt to lay there with him without a diaper on and have him aired out long enough for Kurt to notice that he has a splinter in his leg, in his roll, that we would have never seen unless Kurt was there long enough to notice it. And Jacob's rash is like almost gone, and that was just yesterday. And this rash was so bad, and it was not healing, not at all. It was just staying. And now his rash is like almost all gone. So let me just tell you, there is always a reason why your kid is upset. There's always a reason why your baby is upset. They're crying for a reason. And now, anytime he's like that, I'm going to be checking every inch of him. And if your baby's upset, don't just count it as one thing. Check everything. They can't tell you. He couldn't even point to his ankle and be like, ow, okay? He's a baby. He doesn't understand. Every time I picked him up, it probably hurt him. I probably grabbed his leg. When I was carrying him around that morning, he's like uncomfortable, and like I couldn't figure out why. I was like, oh, his rash is probably hurting him. Which it might have been, but that wasn't the only answer, and I really, really needed to check every inch of him. And lesson learned there, and hopefully moms out there that are watching this you've got to check every inch of your kid. All right, that's my story, and it's an awful story, and I will be reliving it for a long, long time. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.